So yeah, the second iteration of the Hypothetical Conversations podcast, and I like the spacing between them, honestly, because it gives us enough time to have lived for 6 months and a lot of things have changed. There's enough to cover, and I feel like it's kind of the moment where we should be releasing another one of these.
Yes, shows our growth throughout the year. Our influences have changed, our environments have changed. I got married. My beautiful wife is in the other room. That's been a change, a great change. Went on our honeymoon. It was pretty awesome. So shout out to my lovely wife, Olivia. Just had to throw that plug in there.
Got it immediately.
Because that's a significant life event. And felt the need to say it.
It's definitely the most significant life event that either one of us have had this year.
Yes.
And we can kick it off with this. It's fine. Part of what I've been contemplating in my head is we're 32 years old and these life changes are happening. And it's like, how do we maintain the momentum of releasing songs and putting content behind them and trying to drive towards like a new album or potentially like playing tour dates and all these things that we want to do while looking at the bigger picture?
Thankfully, we don't have kids.
Yet.
Yeah, we'd basically have to retire at that point, I feel like.
No. But you bring up a good point. It's like the songs are going to become fewer and farther between. Like I was looking at our releases over the years, and we've been relatively consistent. Like we came out with Kill the Doubt, 2 EPs before Kill the Doubt, but then like Kill the Doubt in 2018, 2 years later, Now You Know in 2020. And the spacing of the years, I guess it was really like 2.5 years after. But coming up on next year, that would be like the next time in which we would hypothetically drop another album.
Yeah, if we were signed to a record deal, they'd be expecting something.
Right. But I expect out of us, like I so desperately want another album at some point. You know what I mean? And
just more of a moment than a singular audio file that we release to the world. I agree. I do.
But contrary to that, and kind of more your belief in terms of like playing the game of streaming, that every single song gets better traction. Like for sure, we've noticed it when they're individually released. Like
we had sleepers on the Now You Know project, especially, that never got what they should have got in terms of airtime and respect, which is unfortunate. But hey, you live, you learn, and you got to play the game. Unfortunately.
Yeah, but let's jump into these most recent tracks, and the sound differences is kind of something I want to start with. I mean, we released an Endlessly EP, which was a very specific project, and really the first time we ever tried to do that.
Pop undertones, pop rock, yeah.
Even just to have a collection of songs that were like similar in nature.
Yep. Although I feel like all 4 of those songs kind of represented a different influence from our sphere of influences that we take from. But they were all tracking towards the same theme lyrically.
To me, it was like the most polished version of ourselves. And we might have touched on this in the last podcast episode, I forget. But like we were working towards something of like perfecting our sound or our skill behind sounding polished. And now we're trying to deconstruct that and also add in all of the influences that we currently have. So the alternative rock, the strict alternative rock lane is always going to be part of us, but it's not really what we're going after.
Yeah, because we were talking about this the other day. Like, we're trying to create a new lane, a new sound that hasn't been done before, because that's ultimately how you garner a fan base that keeps coming back, as you do something completely different than what else is out there. And it's funny, I feel like when we set out on the hypothetical journey together back in 2015, we're kind of actualizing our vision most clearly with the new single, with Lost in Your Rhythm, and with some other exciting songs that we have in the hopper for 2023. I feel like we're finally we've taken a a very wayward journey to get here, and it's almost like we had to go too far in certain lanes, certain sounds, certain experiments to get back to what we've been trying to achieve from the get-go.
I'd agree. I think that, and even now that I listen back on Friends, now that Lost in Your Rhythm's out, I do notice how like those two songs were written around the same time, even though they are different songs.
Yeah. Dude, Friends rips.
It does. It does. I have a new appreciation for it now that I've taken some time away.
Isn't it funny how like after we release something properly, distribute it to streaming services, you develop this different relationship with it than how you feel about it when it's just sitting in like a shared note or something.
And then there's amount of time goes by and you're like, oh wait, like now we're on to something completely new and different. I still have an appreciation for the old stuff and like where we were at.
Yeah.
But I had this unique relationship with Lost in Your Rhythm where like, I know it's only been out a few days, but I've listened to it probably more than any other track that we've released on Spotify. I think because it's what we're really trying to go after and we can solidify that. It's like, it's not everything we want, but it's the closest we've come.
Yeah, for sure. Should we give it a spin? Should we give Lost in Your Rhythm a spin?
I could paint you 2 times knowing that the damage is done. I could ease my own mind going to the length that I sprung to please you. We were back then itching for the time spent, really couldn't right my wrongs. We were so far gone, and I was all alone. I could hate you coming from the past few years of my tongue. What would that prove? Still be here with these songs that I've sung and grieve through. Still get sad then knowing I'm the captain. I'm going down in the ship I fall. Now every time you call, all the words feel wrong. I was lost in your rhythm trying to find my way, waiting on the right time to take me home. I've been crossing your desert and it's time I fade before I lose it. I was lost in your rhythm trying to find my way, waiting on the right time to take me home. I've been crossing your desert and it's time I fade before I lose control. Attached to you when we haven't said a word in months. You feel that too? You would feast on everything that you tore at. How am I to keep warm now? With everything I doubt, I got a new life coming around. So I was lost in your rhythm trying to find my way, waiting on the right time to take me home. I've been crossing your desert and it's time I fade before I lose it. I was lost in your rhythm trying to find my way, on the right time to take me home. I've been crossing your desert and it's time I fade before I lose control.
That was Lost in Your Rhythm, our brand new single. I have a real soft spot in my heart for that one. It feels great. Feels different to press play in Spotify. Just something about it.
What stands out to you? Like, what were you thinking about as we went through that?
The first thing that really hit me was how well arranged it was. Like, it starts off the bat kind of a little bit more like down tempo, chill, but I love how you start singing right away. And it just, like we've tried to accomplish before, it's such a nice build of elements. It never feels old to me in the arrangement. There's always something new and exciting that we introduce along the way. I really like the second verse for whatever reason. I can't really tell you why. I can't pinpoint it because structurally it's the same as the first verse instrumentally. I feel like you just always bring it vocally, just like with a little bit more swagger and delivery in our second verses. So
I have an idea of like the melody. In the first verse, which I usually always write first unless I switch them, which is rare. I am working out the melody, so it's
right.
Oftentimes I'm like kind of just scatting and then I fill in the lyrics later. But it's more melody focused. And then once I have that, the second verse, I can really like key in on, oh, what's this song about? Like what's happening in it? You're talking about the one that starts with more bad news, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spinning in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I can focus a little bit more on the wordplay and things when I already have the melody to the side. But
yeah.
I remember when I wrote that chorus, initially I was like, this isn't a chorus.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. I feel like that happens. That tends to happen more often than not. Like in the moment, it's hard to recognize what's going to be the standout part unless it's obvious, which has happened a couple times with us. But I feel like as I'm tracking you, maybe I'm a little bit more tuned into like arrangement from the get-go versus you just laying down parts that are coming from nowhere, just off the top of your head.
Well, the outro of this song, that's the part where like I go into the higher register. And so even though that was solidified as an outro, usually that would be something that a chorus would do. But like the reason why this song is so kind of like laid back and chill and jammy is because there isn't too much difference between the verses and the way the chorus sounds.
Right. And I love the outro. And that's starting to become more of a key thing that we do is like really let it build up towards the outro and just drop it on them. And I feel like this time around, having a different vocal in there, like we typically in outros in the past, we focus more on the instrumental. I feel like we haven't had as much vocal work that's different from the rest of the song in the outro. And I really like that about this one. I also think especially the first chorus too, like it's so wide open and just like, it just feels good.
It's dynamic. We packed it into 3.5 minutes, and I feel like there's a lot of different elements. And I mean, for it to be quote unquote like one of our jammiest songs, and for it to be shorter, like I'm glad that we didn't extend it, but it's a song that could easily be extended live in multiple sections. Like you could have the jam right after the first chorus, and then you could have it before the outro too. So very much like a traditional jam band where they have like different sections of songs where they expand on. This could be like a multifaceted sort of a thing, and that is definitely one of the influences that I've been like in the forefront of my mind, and I know probably yours too now. Since we've been converting over to listening to more of that and seeing it live.
Yes. I like how we also differentiate the first and second chorus. We had a new lead part in the second chorus, which gives it a little bit more of a heightened feel to it. And then we drop everything down to this almost like dubby type of bridge section, which we haven't really done before, which is cool.
When we actually wrote Lost in Your Rhythm before Friends, on your first trip down to visit me in Florida. So,
dude, yes. Back in February. Yeah.
And I just remember that being start to finish like a very blissful weekend. Like
yes.
It was, there wasn't much. A lot of times when we get together, there's a lot of pressure on like, we need to perform, we need to crank out a tune. I remember that weekend specifically being like, we were just living the paradise life, in Florida.
Yeah. New experience in Florida. Yep.
Yeah. So I really like that about it. And then we just kind of sat on it. We were like, oh, we have something. And then we sat on it. And then when I came to visit you a couple months later, I remember we saw the We Were Promised Jetpack show. And then the next day, like literally the next morning, we wrote Friends. And it was like, it happened so quick.
Yeah.
And then we were high on that one. And I think we decided to go with Friends first because Lost in Your Rhythm sounded more like the direction that we wanted to end up in, but we wanted to like release Friends as a complete piece.
Yeah, you're hitting on something that I want to expand on a little bit too, because I remember what was the soundtrack back in February when I came to visit you for the first time in Florida. It was the Unlimited Love album from Red Hot Chili Peppers. And you can hear the Frusciante influence in the playing on Lost in Your Rhythm. And then we fast forward to when we wrote Friends, you can hear more of the thrashy, fast tempo, raw, energetic, We Were Promised Jetpacks thing coming through. And then a couple of songs that we have in the hopper that we're not going to disclose info about quite yet. But the last time you were in Atlanta, were definitely influenced by the first show of the weekend that we saw together. We get back from the show and then we're like subconsciously channeling something that we're inspired by from that show. So I just think that's a really cool thing with us. Like our sound is so malleable, and although we're continuing to, stumble upon more of a complete sound that I think we'll go back to more and more, we can still always try to emulate, whatever is top of mind or the soundtrack for that weekend, which is sweet.
Yeah, and I have to say that you take the lead on that. You have this ability of being able to hear something and then make something that is similar to it, but in a completely different way that's unique to us.
Yeah, for better or for worse, I feel like I can be a little too much of a copycat sometimes, but that's my learning process. It goes back to Guitar Hero.
It's the complete opposite of my learning process, though, and so that's really why it's so valuable, because for me, I like a blank page and I don't really want to take any necessarily, I like going to see a show and then being like, oh, I want to channel, that particular artist a little bit.
And you start with an acoustic guitar in your voice and that's your starting point. Yeah.
Yeah, usually that's the case. But yeah, I think now, after these two songs and now we're really complete towards, this is what we want to be releasing. This is the type of sound we want to. And I would classify it as trippier, jammier, and dancier.
Yeah.
In terms of how what we want to do next.
We're committing to more of a template, which I think it's good for everybody. It's good for us. It puts us within a certain box that we can still experiment with, but it doesn't give us too many toys to play with. I was listening to a Tape Notes podcast with FKJ, or French Kiwi Juice, and he specifically talked about how he likes to, what's really exciting for him is doing more with a confined set of tools versus, especially these days, you can get any sound that you want straight to your laptop with a simple search or splice or, whatever it is, arcade. So setting those constraints allows you to build more of that cohesive sound that I think we're tracking towards and could eventually become an album next year.
Because we've also been solidifying a process of creating from two different places, which, it's never as good, but we've definitely created some gems.
Yeah, and we're finding a more efficient way to do it these days. I think in the when we first started doing the Postal Service collaboration thing from two different cities, there was a lot of struggle in it because we didn't really know how to do it, but we're implementing workarounds. We even have plugins now that allow us to port from one Logic file to the other, so we can hear in real time what we're doing from a production standpoint, which I think is really key.
We use that feature to mix and master Lost in Your Rhythm in-house.
Yes.
You took the lead on that,
yes.
But that's something that I foresee us doing for the foreseeable future. Listen, we're not mix-master engineers and professional, but we've been in this industry and doing it enough to where we can get it, I would say, the way it sounds, to 90% of what maybe the top guys could do anyway.
It's close.
And a lot of it's left up to chance. And we can kind of touch on this audio normalization thing that you stumbled upon, but you can get it as good as humanly possible, and then you send it out to the world, and you don't really know how it's going to translate at the end of the day.
Yeah, so you deliver a WAV file or, whatever type of file that a distribution service like Spotify or Apple Music accepts to their back end. And there's always some sort of normalization that they do on their end to make sure that everything is level. We're talking about podcasts, we're talking about audiobooks, and we're talking about music, which are three completely different means of media. So I found this way to just go into my settings on Spotify and turn that feature off. And now we're listening back to our entire hypothetical catalog the way that we intended to listen to those songs when we first went through the mix and mastering process.
Well, that's the beauty of doing everything in-house and verticalizing, is that we could, I mean, if we wanted to, we could write a song in a weekend, bust our asses to mix and master it the next, get together the content, the album art, the photos, and release it within a month. I mean, it's possible. If we bring in outside players, it's never been done as fast as when we've done it ourselves. So I think that that's huge, especially when we're trying to gain momentum, you know, after Lost in Your Rhythm on the next release and whatever we have planned for the future. But I think we're in a better place about our releases now, at least. What would be a win for you in 2023? Not numbers wise, anything like that. I mean, from like a creation and release perspective, even from just like a hypothetical perspective in general.
I want to play a show. I think that's first and foremost, because we rehearsed some of the Now You Know songs, but very little. And we've put a lot of stuff down since then, and it's never seen the light of day. And it's always an interesting process of transcribing your song from its recording to a live environment and the decisions you have to make. So I think that would be super fun. It's just going to take some work to get people on board that are down to play with us and then learn our stuff.
I agree. I mean, that would definitely be my number one as well. Just because that feeling that you have on stage, of that's where the real satisfaction comes into play.
Yeah, and we're not getting that. We're only getting the bad parts of doubting ourselves after we put something out and nobody gives a shit.
Well, there's this proof of concept for me when you stand in front of a crowd and the songs, a full set of hypothetical songs that's like, oh, this is what was intended to be done with the songs. Mm-hmm. And we're real musicians and we're laying it down and it's all happening. And this connection that you have with the audience that we can't get through a digital streaming platform.
Real feedback loop. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, choosing everything down to even choosing the set list. Like I was thinking, oh, like what songs, like, okay, if you could pick one song off Now You Know to play live, like what would it be?
Dude, we could put together a solid hour with our catalog right now and feel really good about it. Yeah.
And the other goal for me would be to release an album. Realistically, I don't think a proper album the way I'd want to do it is going to be in the cards for 2023. Mm-hmm. But I think early 2024, you're talking we'd have to write all of the songs, mix them all, get all the content together and drop it in early 2024. I think that's doable.
Yeah. I mean, we have over 20 ideas, some more fleshed out than others, just in a shared note right now. Like it's definitely possible, but it's always a catch-22 of like, do we go back to previous ideas that we think have some legs and really try to actualize those ideas into something more complete? Or do we just start anew with the template that we've determined and see what else is possible?
I've been thinking more about that. And I mean, through this entire year has been a process of evolving our sound. And only right now are we like kind of confident in where it's at. There's certain songs in that pile that are like, they're making it. Mm-hmm. I think all of the ones that are in the middle there most likely are not going to, on the basis of like, when we get together, we're always creating something new anyway. Mm-hmm. And like, we know when a song is going to hit. Like we know if it goes right to that top category, and we have one right now. And it's like, that's what we get most excited on. And I can't wholeheartedly dive into something that's like, well, maybe it'll go one way or the other, when we could just create something fresh. It's very difficult to make that decision.
Yeah, that we're more fired up by in the moment. I saw an interesting question that I want to run by you from Twitter yesterday. I think Kalen Ellis posted this tweet. He's a really, really dope instrumentalist. He asked, what's the one thing that you can pinpoint with a song that you have in the hopper that makes you feel it's ready for release?
I think it's different for both of us a little bit, but there's this feeling that I get from, especially from a chorus, that if it's catchy and melodic and it just captures you, I know that that's universal. Like, we listen to enough music, and I think we have a good enough ear.
I look at the cover art for Lost in Your Rhythm, and really what got this song across the finish line for me was when we went to 3 Points Festival. We saw LCD Sound System. They had this huge disco ball hanging from the sky at the main stage that we were standing right under, and is actually how Matt created the cover art. So I want you to talk about that a little bit and how you created the cover art, because that really solidified the song for me. Yeah, I believed in the audio of it, but I'm always looking for like what's the story and like the mood that we can attach to it as well, that's going to resonate with people, not just from a listening perspective too.
Well, I think we did a pretty good job on Lost in Your Rhythm in that way, that I feel like we fell a bit short on Friends, and I have no problem saying that, but like, you need to have some sort of concept visually behind these songs. Lost in Your Rhythm is a great title because it says something. It can be taken a number of ways. You could be lost in someone's rhythm in the most positive way possible, where you're like, love just exudes them and flows through them. Or it can be completely negative of feeling like you're literally lost.
Yeah. Double entendre.
Exactly. And so I think a title like that and a song like that, it allows you to have a lot of different sorts of visuals. And we were in some type of way at that festival having a blast, and we saw this disco ball, and it's like, that really encompasses rhythm in a lot of ways. I mean, a specific era that we may or may not love the music of.
Yeah, and if you listen to the song, like, there's not a 4 on the floor drum pattern. Like, it's not in the disco realm necessarily, but it's more the feeling of it and attaching the feeling when you hear something to the visual that I think really, really works out for me. And I just love what you did with the cover art, and I think it's something that, you know, I don't really commend you enough on, is how you're able to create.
Dude, I love that part of it. A lot of our videos have been, you know, just done DIY, and it's just a whole nother creative outlet that I've grown to enjoy. I mean, even down to like the photos that we put out on profiles. I think for this song in particular, I like the content we've been releasing. It's another struggle. I mean, that takes... What Sean and I did was we met up basically 2 weekends in a row. The first weekend we finished Lost in Your Rhythm, and I was in Atlanta. And then the second weekend he came here, and we thought we were going to continue to work on new stuff, but really we were focused on getting the album art done, the content photos, and all of that stuff. It takes time, and for better or for worse, I mean, I think on this one, I'm glad we spent that weekend to do it.
Yeah. And it also creates a moment in time for us. A real snapshot of what the song means to us at the end of the day, which I think is really cool. And we'll always have those memories together, accompanied by a piece of music that we made. So it kind of all goes back to that. And that's what gives it, that's what makes us so proud of what we do at the end of the day, and gives us that meaning that, you know, we're creating something from nothing together.
The flip side of that is, by doing the singles game, it is annoying because every single single we feel like
more content.
Yeah, and so like the next song, I'm already thinking like, wow, to me it has a similar feel of like, it says something behind the song name. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how are we going to depict this in the proper way without, you know, a crazy huge budget and all of these things that we've kind of strayed away from because they don't translate into any more fans or anything. You know, we just want the music to speak for itself.
Yeah, we've done
I do want a video on the next one though, because
like a defining look and feel to it that gives the song more attitude, really brings it to life, versus just a piece of cover art. 100%.
Being in front of the camera is a small version of being on a stage. Like, you don't enjoy it as much. I do enjoy it. I don't know if it's like the attention I like or whatever, but like, I like being focused in on the camera and performing. I haven't gotten that in a while.
I have more anxiety about not necessarily being in front of a camera, but playing live shows, because I haven't done it that much in my life. And I'm really concerned about how we're sounding to an audience, because you and I go to so many shows and we know it sounds good. We know it sounds not that great. And that it's such a make or break moment. So it's something that we really have to rehearse next year and put emphasis and focus on in order to get people that are just walking in the door and don't even know who we are to understand.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We'll time it out right.
Yeah.
And one thing we mentioned on earlier in the podcast, but I kind of want to touch back on again, is we did a really good job this past year of every time we got together, there was some sort of an event, usually live music, because that's what we live off of. And then, but it wouldn't be like a whole 3 days or a whole ridiculous thing where we would have to like go back and back and back. It was like one big thing, and then the rest of the time was creation mode. And I'd like to continue to do that if possible throughout the next year and coming years, of like making it a celebration and then diving into the music.
If we can center it around something that we're really looking forward to besides just getting together and creating. Again, we're just building off of and taking or pulling from that energy of that event or whatever it is that we're looking forward to, and that pours into our creative process at the end of the day. So we got to be strategic about that.
I guess to wrap things up here, maybe we should play a little bit of Friends as we in the outro, just as we're leaving, to give people a little bit of taste. And if they haven't heard the song, definitely go check it out. It's on streaming services everywhere.
Yes. Here comes Friends.
It's no longer a phase, yeah, you've been eating away, where you're just getting a taste, better to bite it off. Should've known what you made, taking more than a page, could write a book at this pace. What else could we exhaust? Can't understand as of late why you decided to change, but still let pieces remain when you could have it all. Well, I've been done with this game, running around in this same old place again, and I can't seem to win. To forget. Well, I've been done with this game, running around in this same old place again, and I can't seem to win. Help me ease the pain, what's the point of it? Put it all to bed, 'cause we can't be friends. Well, I've been done with this game, running around in this same old place again, and I can't seem to win. Help me ease the pain, what's the point of it? Put it all to bed, 'cause we can't be friends. Put it all to bed, 'cause we can't be friends.
Just how easily are we to forget, Sean? You know, that's going to be the question of 2023.
Wow. I see what you did there.
I don't think it's going to be so easy based on what's happening and what we're sitting on. So, no, we're excited for what's happening next.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah to all you wonderful people out there. Be on the lookout for more New Hypothetical 2023.
Peace out.
Peace.